this?
Hey, doing good. This is Anthony from Savannah, Georgia.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Georgia in the house.
What's up?
Doing good, guys. I'm actually really glad that I was able to catch all three of you because I've been gleaming information for years from all of you guys, so I'd like to thank all of you. But to make a long story short, basically what I got going on is I'm in the process of building a new home. We're going to close on it next month. I've got kind of a great living room area, and I'm going to be able to do a 5-bed layer and then either a 4 or a 6 in ceiling for Atmos. And so, Sean, I've been getting all the information on your Atmos setup and the do's and don'ts, and I'm loving it. I'm going to end up doing all in walls. So, Aaron, thank you so much for doing that video that you did on the in walls because that was pretty eye opening.
Yeah, it was for me too, man.
So basically, as far as the in walls go, I was kind of down between the Focal 300s, the JBL Synthesis 6, and the Synthesis 7s for the rear surrounds. And then I was also thinking the Martin Logan XTs. And so I'm probably leaning more between the Martin Logans and the Focals. But sorry, guys, I'm driving an 18-wheeler, so.
Hey,
please be careful. Priorities on safety.
Yeah, for sure.
No, I know. I'm actually parking right now.
Okay.
So, but that's why I'm doing a lot of. So, anyway, but so to make a long story short, what I'm interested in is with the Auro 3D setup for speaker placement. Shauna, what do you think I should do as far as my rear height channels? I know that Joe, you have like gone from the rear height where they're angled down, and then you've spread them wider in more the Auro 3D setup, and you said that actually sounded better. My side surround, since it's going to be in a living room setup, this would end up basically being at like a 90-degree angle to where they'd be facing the other way, facing each other, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as where I would be sitting, I'd be probably somewhere between 20 to 25 degrees off axis from those side surrounds. So should I have the heights facing the TV, facing the front, and completely separate away from the side surrounds, or should I have them directly up above, also firing in the same direction?
Jonna?
Well,
a lot of information there. I apologize.
Yeah. Okay, I got to focus here. So you're saying, so is the question about the side surrounds and your mid heights or rear heights?
So they would be the rear heights. So
okay.
I would end up using in-ceiling speakers, but instead of them firing directly down, they would be angled.
Angled,
the Martin Logan ones are at a 30-degree angle. The Focals are at a 35-degree angle.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard without the visual for me.
Yeah,
I'm a visual person, so it's hard to understand.
Basically, just think of a 5.1 bed layer,
mm-hmm.
and then instead of so the rear speakers would be slightly behind your shoulders, but they're facing each other instead of angled into the room because they're in wall.
I see what you mean.
Oh.
Yeah. So the couch, instead of it, like, let's pretend that there's a physical wall there, and then most people would then just place the couch up against the wall, and then the side surrounds would be firing directly at the couch.
Yeah.
Slide that couch forward a couple of feet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that wall is non-existent. It would actually be the kitchen and the dining room.
Okay, that's kind of how mine is set up right now.
Okay.
Except I can angle the rear surround or the side surrounds, instead of facing each other, I can move them, right? So what's the question exactly, though? So
what's to do with your height channels? And if you want to get it, it's to do with your height channels.
So the bed layer is kind of going to be set up in that way. But so my question is for the rear Atmos heights, should I have them directly up above my side surrounds facing in the same direction, or should I place those up at the ceiling, matching where the front heights would be if you were to draw that line? So that'd be basically center of the room, as opposed to off to the side and up above firing.
So you're asking, should you do your rear heights directly above your side surrounds or in back of you, kind of?
Correct. Yeah.
And they're going to be in ceiling.
Well, you said you're doing 6 height channels?
Angled in ceiling, and you said you're going to do 4 or 6?
I could do either. I was trying to figure this out. Space-wise, I think it would be wiser just to go with 4.
Okay.
Because otherwise, I wouldn't be directly center in the room as far as where the speakers were. So if I did do that top layer overhead, it would end up being squished a little closer to those
the rear ones.
So for separation, I'm thinking it might be beneficial just to delete that top layer, just run front heights and then rear heights.
I know what I think. What do you think, Chana? You have an opinion on this?
I've honestly, I might go with front in ceilings that are angled, and then your rear in ceilings above you going down.
Really?
I think that might be the best in that scenario.
Or what if they were going straight down, but they were just behind my head? So then
I think that would work too. If they have like a good dispersion, if they got 100-degree, 120-degree dispersion, that would kind of give you the top.
Go
ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, go for it. What was it?
So I've been looking at the Soundstage Network and looking at just various things that I can find on the forums and stuff of actual clipple measurements or any kind of measurements like that. So for instance, you're familiar with it, the Arias. I was looking at the ones that you've got in your living room, and so the dispersion on that is excellent. And so you can go off almost 40 degrees off axis and still be getting a relatively flat response out of that tweeter. So that's one of the reasons why I was leaning towards the focals. I used to have in my previous house the Motion 40s, and I love that Martin Logan tweeter. But going with the XTs, it's a little bit more focused, and so since I can't really angle the speakers, I'd be more off axis. There'd be a lot more drop off. I'm just thinking maybe that's not the way to go. It's where my heart wants to go, but I'm thinking that the focals may be the better bet. But so there's going to be a lot of dispersion either way, regardless. So, but I was just trying to figure out, should I have them kind of behind my head, in line with the TV, in line with the front heights, or should I have them off to the side and then directly above the rear surround? Because I was looking at your Atmos box, for lack of a
renderer thing,
as to where everything is. So the rear channels, like you said, it's in the rear, and then it goes up above. There's a speaker up above, et cetera, et cetera. So everything's all working within this rectangle. So that's what I was
thinking about it, maybe it is better to have your heights behind you, the rear heights behind you, pointing toward you.
So here's my answer. I have if I may chime in real quick. It's just
please.
I don't care. Chime away, bro.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I think talking to Steven, Home Theater Gurus, he has his specific angles, and Reverend Slim, they want to use the Dolby Studio spec, or something very similar to that, right? And I think here's where the kind of disconnect is. I'm always trying to understand different perspectives, right? And I think if you're talking about other studios who are mixing with that layout in order to get the most similar sound, you probably want your speakers in that most similar layout, right? To get an idea of what what they're hearing when they're doing their playback, right? If they're adjusting based on their system, you probably want to have speakers similar to them. I get it, right? But for me, I don't have it that way because I have found that most of the stuff that I watch and most of the stuff that I listen to does not have great Atmos. You know, I might be watching YouTube. I might be, I might be watching an old 5.1 movie, right? I want to be able to use Auro. So that's my particular use case is I want the most compatibility with lots of things. I want my height speakers to do something almost all the time. Right? That's what I like. I enjoy that. And so for that, the height speakers need to be above the other speakers, right? Above the corresponding ear level speaker. Now, is that optimal if I have an Atmos recording, right? And they have this mix studio with the perfect speaker layout. Is that the best for that? No. But is it the compromise that I made? Yes. That's the disconnect, right? You can't have best for every situation because if you have this perfect Atmos layout, Auro 3D is going to sound pretty bad, right?
Yep.
That's the issue because the height speakers being close to you, they're supposed to play reflections, right? And so any sound has a direct sound and then reflections from stuff bouncing off the wall. If that reflection arrives earlier, that doesn't make any sense to your brain. Why would you hear the reflection before the actual sound?
Yeah.
That's why Auro doesn't work when the height speakers are closer to you. So I think it's a decision that you have to make whether you want to use Auro 3D for upmixing or not. If you want like the best possible Atmos, maybe, I'm willing to try Steven's way. He said, "Hey, are you willing to try?" I'm like, "Yeah, I can easily move my speakers. Maybe I'll try it that way and see what the difference is." Yeah.
Let me throw this at you. I
Sure.
apologize for interrupting.
No, you're good.
So the distance from the side surrounds to the seating position is roughly 6 to 8 feet. So whether they're directly behind or they're more off to the side, it's not going to be, this like astronomical difference. It's not like they're 12, 15 feet away where the sound is really going to be traveling diagonally. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
From what's up above to what's down at the side. So,
yeah,
as we're talking through this, I'm thinking in my mind, well, maybe I just go kind of meet it in the middle, so to speak. So maybe I go up in the ceiling, facing the couch, but instead of it facing 90 degrees, matching my side surrounds, firing directly into the room horizontally, maybe I have them up in the ceiling close to the area of where the side surrounds are at the wall edges, maybe about a foot out.
Yeah, they just cannot be closer, right? So you can imagine that if the speaker, if you think about a triangle, right? If the corresponding ear level speaker, if you put a speaker directly above it, well, that diagonal, to that speaker is going to be a longer distance, right? But there's going to be a point where the height speaker distance is equal to the corresponding ear level speaker, right? And then there's going to be a point where it's closer to you than the corresponding ear level speaker. For Auro to work, it just cannot be closer. I think even equal might work, but it just can't be closer to you than the corresponding ear level speaker. If you care about Auro, if you don't care about it whatsoever, okay, you do. Okay, so then that's the requirement, right? That needs to happen.
Well, I mean, it's not the end all be all. You guys have covered that.
Sure.
But, I'm just looking for a nice blend between, because obviously, Atmos does dominate here in the United States.
Yeah.
That's just a fact. And so I want something that's going to be as enjoyable as possible, but at the same token, watching older content where Auro would be able to upmix better. And furthermore, my wife, she does a lot of YouTube jazz stuff where it's, it shows a picture and there's like ambient bird noises and stuff like that.
Cool.
She enjoys that. So, if I was to put her in an Auro 3D setup with that going on, I mean, it would just blow her mind.
Yeah.
She'd be like, "Oh, well, yeah, it was totally worth it."
Blow her mind, but still, so.
Yeah, man. I think you're starting to figure it out, though.
Okay. So,
yeah, I think you have an idea.
Keep it close to the side surround, but so I don't need to necessarily cut it into the middle, where the couch is.
Yeah.
Just kind of find that fine line in between the two.
Yeah.
And, it'll all blend pretty well.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome.
And give us an update.
Let us know what happens.
I always try to tell people if it's possible to, experiment, and I know you can't do that with in-wall speakers, right? You can't, let me cut 2 holes. No. But if it's possible to even get an idea just by putting some other speakers kind of up and, trying to experiment for yourself and see how much you care about Auro, things like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
No, I'll definitely be documenting this whole thing because even I'm going to be doing craftsman style wainscoting going up 4 feet on the left and right side of the walls.
Yeah.
But I'm going to end up basically using the acoustic suede material. So there'll be the wood as the dividers, just like normal wainscoting. But then in the middle, it'll be that acoustic suede, and then there'll be insulation back behind it. So it's basically the entire wall going up 4 feet to the left and to the right will be the sound absorption. And then the front wall is going to pop forward 2 feet for the TV to get it a little bit closer, and then have room for the equipment to go underneath that. And then with a sub to the left and to the right, and then I can do probably like a 10-inch thing there as well for bass absorption.
Yeah. Well, cool, man.
This whole thing will be dead. Sorry.
Yeah.
This whole thing will be documented and stuff. I'll shoot you an email once I get it rocking and rolling.
Yeah. Update us.
I appreciate you guys' time.
Take care, man.
Take care, buddy.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Yeah. I think so. Use case is so important. I think people are so caught up in what's the absolute correct answer. It's sometimes you have to ask, what is the use case?
I forgot to say to him, I got doing something. Hey, if he's still listening, go with the JBLs, man. I was curious why he was thinking the Martin Logan or the Focal would be the better choice, because based on my limited experience with both of those brands versus the JBL, I'd take the JBL hands down. Personally speaking, I'm considering doing in-wall speakers. Martin Logan and Focal won't even be on my list for in-wall speakers. Like they're not even on the list. So
yeah, I saw curious some of the measurements and those.
It wasn't even just the measurements. It was just like the measurements showed what I heard, but they were very problematic, and I was really disappointed because those are the more expensive. They were over like $3,000 for just one, and I was like, "There's no excuse for the speak." Some of the stuff, okay, maybe if you want to tailor it to have that sound, okay, but to have like a big resonant chamber, as your back enclosure, that makes that's just poor engineering. So, and people were like, well, who are you to say? I'm like, well, I am, because I have experience. Like I know what I'm looking at, and maybe they designed it that way, but it was a very bad idea. So I'm just curious what his rationale is for that. That's what we call shilling.
When I heard him mention Martin Logan, I saw you like, because I remember seeing the measurements, and I remember hearing what you thought of them. I'm like, I know you didn't like those. Make sure to join us every Monday for our live stream at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern at youtube.com/Daily HiFi.